Some of you may be wondering about the recent surfacing of NTE videos on my channel when the vast majority is either GT7 or GTA. Well, in this video we'll be talking about my aspirations for this game, how I got into it, why I got into it, and yeah, that sort of stuff. First, let's start with the most obvious question. Why NTE? Well, just have a look for yourself. Isn't it obvious? I got into this game because of the cars, as well as the city, but you know, that naturally comes with the presence of cars. Keeping that in mind, let's talk about NTE and I. So, this all started when Joseph was screen sharing NTE on Discord, and I was like, this is a pretty cool looking game. You can own your own cars, you can drive around the city. It's like an anime GTA. But then I was like, but I've never played a gacha game before. Would I be able to get into it? Well, there's only one way to find out. And it was easy to do so because the game is free to play, as is the case with gacha games generally. So there was no harm in trying it out. And you have to admit, just merely looking at the game, you know, the visuals, the game is really gorgeous. And the open world setting opens the door for a lot of possibilities. However, if we were to talk about the game from purely the perspective of it being a gacha game, it's certainly doing its job. And if you're not familiar with the term gacha, I'll summarize it like this. They are most commonly free-to-play games that entice people to use real-life money to either progress faster, make their life easier, or to get exclusive items. And when it comes to me and gacha games, I'll have to emphasize the fact that NTE is in fact my first gacha game ever. So just take my word for it. It's not a case of me being embarrassed to come out as a sort of closet weeb, having played gacha games before. No, that's not the case. NTE is my first. And since we already more or less covered why I picked up NTE, next we'll talk about how I feel about the game. Well, for a free-to-play game it's not that bad, at all. However, since I'm forced to playing on PS5, it seems that the PS5 version is a lot more finicky than PC. For example, I've encountered at least a dozen crashes, while Joseph, playing on PC, has only encountered one. And while there have already been plenty of patches for stability and bug fixes, the crashes on PS5 remain. They are almost non-stop for me. And when I say non-stop, I obviously mean in the context of I've lost count of how many crashes I've had since, you know, Joseph has only had one. He can remember that number, but for me, I've lost count, honestly. However, it shouldn't come as a surprise that there are issues that are present in both PC and PS5, as well as potentially mobile. But, you know, the PS5 version isn't too bad to play, apart from the game crashes and some issues that might be exclusive to it. But there's also a lot of issues that are, you know, inconsequential, like visual issues that don't affect the gameplay. But then, on the other hand, you have issues that actually hamper your gameplay, like even when it comes to receiving your rewards and loot, for example. And then you have all these kind of tiny issues here and there that don't really matter all that much, but make the gameplay annoying, like menuing issues. But again, overall, for a free-to-play game, I can't really complain. We'll talk about the issues and bugs more at the end of the video, but for now, let's discuss what my aspirations and plans for the game are. Right now, with 300 hours behind me and about 99% of the exploration done, I'm not quite sure, honestly. And because the cars in the game are the main driving force behind my motivation for playing this game, that's the biggest problem in this conversation. Why, you ask? Well, the car scene in this game is pretty lackluster at the moment. There's only a handful of cars, say a dozen. There's not a whole lot you can do with them besides just cruise around. And while there is racing, it's very, how should I say? It's boring. It really is. I've already taken care of all the races you can do by yourself in single player, and online racing is somehow even worse. The netcode is terrible, first of all, and when you play online it only rotates between 2 tracks. The other one is okay, like I can see myself doing it, but the other track, it's only straight lines and 2 corners. One of them is like a little easier to do than the other, but for the most part it's just like a speedway, you just drive. And how the online racing scene works is that you're pitched up against players of a similar rank, and your rank is obviously determined by how many races you've done and how well you've done in them, which is what you would expect. However, that's all there is to it. You are free to choose any car you want, and that's a double-edged sword because we just got the Porsche 918 Spider in the game, and that's by far the best car in the game. So if you don't have that, then it's pointless to do online racing because all the others, or the vast majority of the others, will have the Porsche, and then you'll be left eating dust. And if you noticed, I do have the Porsche, but that still doesn't make things any better. There's two main reasons. One, the flexibility. You can only use that car if you care about your rank. And it's the best car by far, so why wouldn't you? And then there's problem number 2, which by the way may only be temporary because we're getting a big update tomorrow. But the Porsche has some weird things going on with its physics when it comes to landing from a jump.
But before we continue, here's a quick intermission dedicated for Joseph.
So, as soon as I got the Porsche, I was like, okay, let's sit and settle down and just start doing some online races. Ain't got nothing better to do. Well, I just can't be arsed because of that landing RNG. I just can't. But I won't talk any more about it because it's possible that they've already fixed it and we'll get it tomorrow. But yeah, for the time being, no racing. And even if the issue got fixed, ultimately, what does it matter? We're still only racing between 2 tracks. And the driving physics? I'm not really a fan, to be honest. Very arcadey, and to summarize it, it almost looks like I'm playing on keyboard even though I'm using a controller, because you just can't do small inputs. The inputs are very, very sensitive and very twitchy.
So, yeah, I don't really have much else to say here. With racing sitting on the shelf, with all the exploration done, all I have left is grinding.
And in this video rolling in the background, I just hit Hunter level 50, which means that I unlocked the gate for the final level ups for all the characters. All the characters cap out at level 80, so yeah. Now all that's just left to do is to gather all the materials, which is gonna be a hellish grind. As for the grind, I digress. There's not a whole lot to say about it, and even if there was, I could easily be talking out my ass, so yeah. I won't get too much into it, it's just gonna be hell. But speaking of grinding, I will say this. The game doesn't allow you to freely grind, at least not to a significant degree. The reason? You have these I guess you could call them credits or tokens, which basically allow you to get items that you wouldn't be able to otherwise get, unless if you wanted to spend money. And money, you are not allowed to grind freely either, because you have an X number of what they call city stamina, and it resets every Monday, and you can't get it back unless you've been saving up that sweet, sweet potion that lets you grind more. But assuming you don't have it, then you just have to wait for Monday until you can grind for some more fawns, which is the currency in the game. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say for this portion of the video, but for now, have a look at this new apartment that I just bought. And it was around this moment that I realized, wait, where's the touchpad? Where? I needed to find it because I needed to log all my, items, such as the furniture, which came with the purchase. But after running around for approximately 5 minutes, I just gave up and just teleported to my other apartment where for sure I could find that touchpad. There we are. My first apartment, and also for many players because it's the cheapest one. And with the item logging being sorted out, it's time to get to the bugs section of the video. And while I would love to show every single bug clip that I have, the section would be too long, so I'm just gonna show the more relevant and, shall we say, eye-catching ones. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at a short compilation of short clips and, you know, just let it speak for itself. And by the way, I found it strange how you can't skip this cutscene whenever you level up your Tycoon level and get shiz. In the, shall we say, roulette system where you can roll for characters, you can always skip the cutscene, but for some reason not for shiz. But anyway, without any further ado, enjoy.
I definitely put in the coin, so where's my... Fast and smooth. That's enough food to last.
Got it done. He said he'll pass for now.
Checking out. Leave it to me, Mint.
Cutie, Let the games begin.
Let me take over.
I'll handle this part.
And we're back. These next set of clips, I feel, require a bit of context. So this one here is a really curious fight, because as you can see, I don't have the attack command available. So the only way I can attack is by dodging whenever it attacks and then counter-attacking. And that's the only way you can deal with this fight. Before it was fixed anyway, but yeah. Pretty funny that you can, but also can't do the fight. Like, it drags on a little bit long because you can't attack because you're supposed to be in, like, an area where you're not allowed to fight. Like an indoors area, pretty much. But this was obviously patched, so this shouldn't happen again, but it was pretty funny to go through this. And after this, I'm gonna show you a few clips that may require you to use frame by frame. Because in those clips, you'll see that stuff flickers like for 1 frame. So instead of trying to slow down the video artificially, I figured I'd let them play normally and let you have a look. It's pretty bizarre stuff. And right after those clips, I'm gonna show you a clip where the enemy is quite literally backed into a corner with no way out, and it resulted in something pretty interesting.
When did this happen? You were so straightforward when you were a kid.
Welcome to Tungsten Gallery. The gallery is free for all today. We meet again. How have you been?
Don't bully Mint, Lacrimosa. Angry.
And we're gonna wrap up the video with a tour at my second apartment. Obviously, I now officially moved to the third apartment, which I bought earlier in the video. So let's have a look. Immediately on your right, you'll notice this very bugged hamster ball. I tried readjusting the stand, but it would always end up like this, so I just eventually gave up. And this is my roomie's bed. I have another bed, but they always sleep here, so this is officially their bed. And on the wall you can see this like painting that I unlocked through Story. I decided it goes well with the pink bed. Statue thing for decoration. This, however, was not my idea. It's part of the default decor, but I couldn't be arsed to replace it because it costs money. And this space here I decided to fill with this plushie. I didn't want to put it in the entry hall because that would have been kind of creepy. And this hallway is empty, just the painting is there by default. Didn't want to clutter it. And this is my bedroom, you know, the bed that they never use. And I wanted to put some sofas here on the balcony so I can enjoy the scenery. There's one right here. And Lacrimosa's chilling here, or sleeping here. Not really taking in the scenery. And there you can see the BAC, Bureau of Anomaly Control. And one more sofa here. The fluffy cotton is a gift that you can give to your characters to increase the bond level. And here's the pool.
The wind's just right.
And I figured I wanted an aquarium, but I didn't know where to put it, so then I was like, well, why shouldn't I put it next to the pool? And yeah, that sums up the apartment, I guess. It's pretty big, especially compared to the first one, but the next one is even bigger, and I'll have to think about what to do with all the space available to me, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. But the video is not quite done yet. We still have to talk about the Porsche 918 Spyder. This thing right here. That... It's just a set of tires. Funny. I was expecting a little bit more. This is the 918 Spyder. And not only is it the game's only licensed vehicle so far, but it was also a special one to get because, you know, it relied entirely on gacha. I got it on the 14th pull out of 15, so right to the very end. And I didn't have time to make the 15th pull anymore, which would have allowed me to get the exclusive outfit for the protagonist. But yeah, there was just no more time to get it. I didn't have time to either get fonts or the Analyth, you know, the special kind of tokens that you can pretty much use for anything. But I got the car, and that's what's most important to me. And I know, it has the landing issue, but let's hope that it gets fixed. Otherwise, the car is really cool, and it's obviously the fastest car in the game right now. So, yeah. Not much else to say about it otherwise. And now it's time for fun. And of course, by fun, I mean this kind of stuff. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. And I'm not gonna lie, I planned to upload this way earlier, but it's always such a struggle for me to put together videos. This had a lot of clips in it, a lot of voiceover, and I'm always so self-critical about the voiceover, like, I always want to make sure it's perfect, I always retake lines often, and I'm the kind of guy who can do speeches in one take. I like stitch together multiple lines, and that's how it comes together for me, so... But I finally got it done, and I won't be streaming NTE because, like I said, I just merely grind in the game. There's not many activities to do. The racing sucks as well, so... And we'll see when I upload the next discussion video for NTE. But until then, I'll see you guys later. However, looking at the game from but I digress. I won't be talking about the grinding here. It doesn't really matter for this video anyway, and I could be easily talking about... Why do I keep saying talking about my ass instead of out of my ass? Well, if I have to talk about my ass, it's hairy, and it's gross, you know? What else is there to say? And I don't think I would want to say anymore, so... Yeah. Sorry. I wanted to end this outtake somewhat comically, I guess. I don't know.